Hi, welcome to Scratch Programming, and I'm going to go and present this tutorial on different features of Scratch, or various different options here on the top. And first, let me introduce you to what this Scratch programming interface looks like. This is your code window. This is where you're going to go put the codes, and if you want to go put a code there, you grab a code block and then drop it here. I'm going to delete this, and this area here is called the stage, and this is where your sprites are placed, and the sprites would perform certain actions. And if you'd like to know what a sprite is, here we have sprite 1, which is a cat, and there are several other functions and features here. I'm going to talk about each one of them as I go experimenting with all of these code blocks. And say, for example, if you wanted the full screen, you go switch to presentation mode and it's in full screen and goes back. And if you wanted a smaller stage, you go smaller stage like that. If you want a medium stage size, and ideally this is preferable. And as you're looking at this green flag, it is going to start the scripts, and this green flag has the same effect of pressing the end. Further, this red key here, or the red dot there, the red button, when you go press it, what happens is all of the scripts are stopped, and that's what it is used for. If you want to duplicate a sprite, you can go use this duplicate rubber stamp, and here you have a sprite duplicated, and you will have the numbers sprite 2, 3. I'm going to delete these, delete sprite 2, and also 3 and the 2. Right now we have only sprite 1, and the stage is in white color. I will talk about changing the background for the stage, and I will talk about how you go import a new sprite, all of that eventually. But right now, if you're looking towards your left, these are the code blocks that are from your motion option. So we will experiment with each one of those codes, and let us see what would be the effect on the cat when we are using each one of those code blocks. For example, if I'm going to say here move 10 steps, as you see, the direction of the cat is really very important, and that's 90. The direction is 90, which is horizontal. So if you want to change the direction to 180, and it would be facing down, and from that point on I'll set it to 180, 77, 70, 180, it's facing down. From here it becomes negative 179, 178, and it goes all the way up to 0. So this 0 to 180 and 180 to 0 with negative numbers. So I'm going to again put it back in 90 direction. This is very important because when I said move 10, it is going to go in the direction that is already set. I will say move 10 steps, the cat moves forward by 10 steps. If I'm going to replace this number here by, say for example, 80, and I go click, the cat moves by 80 steps. And if I want the cat to move in the opposite direction and opposite to its direction, I'll say negative whatever the number, say I added before about 80, and also one more 80, so I'll just go say 160 here, negative 160. The cat pretty much goes back to the same position from where it started. So that's about move code block. But if I'm going to use here the turn, as you see the 15, as you see the 90 degrees here, when I say turn 10, from 90 it turns for 10 more, and as you see the direction became 100. The same thing, you can go, and this is now clockwise, and if you want to get it back to 90, it turns anti-clockwise. I'll just say turn back by 10 degrees, and as you see the direction is now being set to 90. That is pretty much about turning in the clockwise direction. and the anti-clockwise direction. All of these code blocks doesn't make really no sense, doesn't make really any sense if they are used by themselves, but if they're going to be used in the combination, that's when a meaningful program can be created in Scratch. But for now, I'm just going to go and show you all of these code blocks one by one, and I will also show you some of the meaningful programs that's being created in Scratch. So as I said before, now it's being set into in the direction of 90 degrees. You can also point it in the direction, whatever the direction you wanted. So if you wanted to face up, so that's 90, and as I said, this would be negative 90, because as it goes from 180 all the way up to 0, and somewhere in the middle here is negative 90. So I'll say that side and point in direction. It has turned itself. As you see, the cat is upside down. I keep turning it like this. As you see, that was, as I showed you before, that was 180, and all the way it goes up to negative 90, all the way it goes up to 0. That is clearly shown here. So 0 is up, all the way to down is 90, I'm sorry, 180, and to the right is 90, and to the left is negative 90. So if you understand this rotation here, you must be able to easily understand what it means point in direction. Say if I wanted the cat to be facing normally to the right, again you say point in direction just 90. It's anyway pointing to 90. Okay, excellent so far. I'm going to delete this code here. I'm going to show you point towards. Now this code block really doesn't have no meaning unless you have another sprite or the mouse pointer. I'm going to duplicate this kitty here. I'm going to press the rubber stamp tool. Let's say for example sprite 2, and I will put the sprite 2 somewhere here, and I will say point towards sprite 2. When I press this, it is now facing this side. But when I put it here, it is still facing this side, expecting me to go and again invoke this code block. So if I go press it again, it is going to be facing the sprite 2. Same thing can be achieved even if you're going to put it for the mouse pointer. But by the time I'm going to go and press this code block here, the cat would be facing this side, because I am instructing the cat to face the mouse pointer. See what happens now. So it's now facing this side. But if I'm going to say face sprite 2, this is what is going to happen. Now, as I told before, these code blocks by themselves do not make a huge meaning, but when they are used in combination with various other code blocks from different sections such as looks, sound, pen, control, sensing, operators, and variable, that's when it's going to make sense. Just to show you an example, I'm going to get from the control option, I'm going to select forever, which means whatever is in this code block is going to happen forever continuously. Now I will put this in here, and let us see, it's going to point now sprite 2. I'll press this. So this is happening without my interference. This code block is now executed. How do you know? As you see, it's now highlighted in white color, which indicates that the code block which is put inside the forever is going to go forever, which means continuously without a break. Now I'm going to move the sprite 2. According to this code, what happens is this cat sprite 1 must be facing sprite 2. Let's see if this is going to really work. That works. Woohoo! So now as I am moving sprite 2, sprite 1 is always looking at sprite 2, as you see. So something is continuously happening. But if I'm going to put this code block outside, it is not going to do it continuously. It is going to do it only once. So when I place the cat here, it's not facing the cat anymore. I have to again go and tell it, hey, look, that's sprite 2. You need to be facing that sprite 2 there. So when I press that, it is going to do that. But if I'm going to put the same thing into the forever loop, as you see, it's already highlighted, which means it is running now. And as I move this sprite 2, sprite 1 is facing sprite 2. As told earlier, if you wanted to stop all the scripts, if I want to stop this script from running, I have to just go and press stop everything and observe what happens to this forever loop now. It's not highlighted in white color anymore, which means if I'm going to move this sprite 2, there'll be no action performed. So that is pretty much about point towards. It can point towards another sprite, or it can even point towards the mouse pointer. Let's see if this is going to be the same with mouse pointer. So it's facing now, my mouse pointer is here, it's looking at the mouse pointer. I'm going to put it up here, it's facing the mouse pointer, and as I move the mouse pointer, and the cat is looking at the mouse pointer. I'm going to stop this code and move on to another code. Excellent. Now we're going to understand how this go-to code is going to be working. In order to understand the go-to code block, actually where it says X and Y, we must understand that the whole entire stage is divided into X-axis and Y-axis. But what is the starting point and what is where is the origin? If you'd like to know, I would actually go to a stage background and I will show you the XY grid. There we go. Look at that. The X and Y coordinates are starting from here. The X and Y position are 0 and 0. If I say X is 0 and Y is 0, as you from the background itself you can understand that this cat is going to go and sit in here. The whole of the x-axis is spread over from negative 240, as you see here. That starts from negative 240, 200 becomes 100 and becomes 0, and positive 100, positive 200 and positive 240. So if I'm going to say go x 0 and y 0, and the cat would jump to the middle. But if I'm going to say here negative 240, see what happens. If I'm going to say negative 240, the cat is pushed to the corner here. Now the same thing, if I'm going to say positive 240, it goes here. Say for example, why should we even know what these x and y's are? If you want to place the sprite in a particular location on the stage, you must have full control on this x and y location. So for example, if I'm going to place my cat somewhere in the middle here, which means my x will be 120, but my y would be 0 to 180, so it'll be 140. So it will be about 140, and here actually it'll be 90, because 180 and this will be 90, and my x will be 120. Let's go check this out. 120, and the y position will be 90. Your cat will go and sit down here. Excellent. And the same thing, if I wanted my cat to be here, I just have to say negative 90. As you see, the y, as how x is divided from x is spread from negative 240 to 240, y is spread out from negative 180 to 80. If I'm going to say negative 90, it is going to go sit down here. So that's pretty much about going to x and y. And again, as I said, this code by itself doesn't make no meaning, but it can be put into a continuous loop. I'm going to continue this tutorial in another video. So